Hello, everyone. I'm Jim Garrison. I want to welcome you to this session of Humanity Rising as we explore the mystery and wonder of whales with two whale watchers and whale lovers, whale whisperers, shall we call them, who I'll introduce in a moment. Before we do, I just want to comment very briefly on the attack by Israel on Iran last Thursday, Friday, depending on what time zone you're in, because it had some puzzling qualities. And I wanted to share a little bit of the backstory as I've been discovering it in various news sources. You may recall that Israel boasted that this second attack was going to be strategic and precise, surprising, and overwhelming. And the world was watching with bated breath as to what the Israelis were going to do, given the fact that they have been continuing to goad Iran and finally succeeded in getting Iran to strike back a few months ago, and then continued to escalate, as you all know. When the attack came, however, it was completely different than it had been heralded. And many people wondered why something that was supposed to be essentially a decapitation strike against the Iranian leadership ended up with barely a whimper. Few bases were attacked. Apparently only two people ended up as casualties. And so people immediately began to look around for what the backstory was. And this, as far as I can tell, is what really happened. And I thought I would just share this with all of you because it's really important for us to, as I continue to stress, to look at the story behind the story behind the story, to try to discern what's actually going on. Apparently, with the full approval of Anthony Blinken, the Secretary of State, and Jake Sullivan, the National Security Advisor, and President Biden, and probably Vice President Harris, the Israelis had prepared a full-scale decapitation strike. As Netanyahu and many people in the US Congress kept saying, it's time to cut off the head of the snake. And then you remember about 10 days ago, there was a leak from somewhere in the military, the US military, that released the classified documents inside the US classification, inside the Pentagon, that detailed exactly what the Israelis were planning to do in their decapitation strike. It just dropped out of nowhere into the public domain and it disappeared. Apparently, President Biden was furious and there was a lot of trumpeting around about we're going to get whoever did this. But if you notice, things just evaporated. But it was enough to put the Israelis and the Americans on notice that the Iranians and anyone else who was interested knew exactly what they were going to do. And that allowed cooler minds to intercede and talk the Israelis off the ledge, countermand what the president had approved. And it ended up as essentially a non-event. This is important to note for a couple of really significant reasons. Number one, with all the rhetoric that the president and the vice president make about humanitarian concerns, that's all just rhetoric. The Biden-Harris administration, the Secretary of State, the National Security Advisor, all are completely enveloped in the Israeli escalation of conflict in the Middle East. The one dissenting voice is the Pentagon, the military people. And this is not the first time that this has happened historically, and certainly not the first time this has happened in the United States. Consistently, the military has been the most cautious. It is the neoconservative civilians that are the most aggressive. In this case, the Pentagon was able to leak information about the decapitation strike in such a way that the strike was compromised and therefore had to be replaced. Had it not been, we could have been in a regional war at this moment, the consequences of which are incalculable. So in one of the strange ironies of this situation, as the Congress and the White House and the State Department go for war, it is precisely those people who fight the war that are the most cautious. And I think that's really important for us to note as we're examining the situation, not only in the Middle East, but also in Ukraine. President Biden was all for allowing the Ukrainians to use American and British missiles with American and British guidance to attack deep into Russia. It was the Pentagon that stood against it because they understand the consequences of crossing that red line. How this is now going to play out in further rounds is unclear. What is clear is that the United States is fully supportive of what the Israelis are doing right now in northern Gaza as they seek to empty northern Gaza of over 400,000 people by mass slaughter and by blowing up everything that is in their way as they desertify the northern reaches of that part of the world so that they can pave it over, eliminate it, and then bring in their settlers. There's no counter statement being made by the White House or the State Department. So this is really important for us to take in about how the White House is really comporting itself in real terms with what's going on over there. They like to present in the news that they're wringing their hands and they really don't want this to happen and would the Israelis please stop? But underneath that rhetoric, they're completely behind and empowering the escalations in the ongoing genocide. It's an extraordinary situation. And the military stands against. The next comment I want to make is that what is beginning to emerge in the Middle East is the growing presence of Russia. Now that the Russians have decisively defeated the Ukrainians, and the Americans and NATO in Ukraine. The Ukrainian army is largely in retreat, and over the last couple of days is being routed in village after village as the Russian army just now moves to the west toward the Dnieper River. You may not know, but Russia sent a delegation to Israel. And as we speak right now, Russians in Israel, in Tel Aviv, are speaking with Netanyahu and the Israeli government. It's worth noting that the Russian base in Syria is so sophisticated in its radar technology, they can track every plane that lands or takes off from Israel, from Syria. And that's one reason they speculate that the attack by the Israelis was not a surprise. The Russians were tracking it the whole time and giving the information to the Iranians. And even as the Russian technology and aircraft and drones and surface-to-air missiles, etc., have proved superior to the American and NATO arsenal in Ukraine, those weapon systems are now going to Iran. And that's why the Iranians are emerging and the Israelis are becoming increasingly cautious around Iran. They have weapons now that can penetrate the vaunted Iron Dome of Israel. So Russia is on the ascendancy in the Middle East, even as it is in Europe. And how that is going to play out, how this is going to impact the election, what the new president is going to do with this new geostrategic situation remains to be seen. But the backstory of the most recent escalation in the Middle East is very interesting to note as we calibrate future actions. So thank you, everyone, for joining Humanity Rising as we comment on world events as they unfold, but also take up issues that are of permanent interest. In this case, the whales. We all love the whales. We see movies and pictures of the whales. And today, we want to celebrate two people that are very active and engaged in the research and companionship with whales in the wild. Jude Abrams and Terry Brown, who are going to talk to us and show videos. They're naturalists, they're artists, they're photographers. They're deeply passionate about the environment and have been attracted to whales for many, many years and have developed an expertise in what they call the holy whale, W-H-O-L-L-Y, holy whale. So Jude and Terry, we welcome you to Humanity Rising, and they're going to make a presentation, and then when they're finished, I'll circle back in for a dialogue. They'll also be joining the after chat, so welcome Terry and Jude.
Thanks, Jim. And before we start, I just want to send out a blanket of gratitude to everyone who is holding the energy of peace in the world. And I'm including all the non-human beings that are holding the energy of peace. And we're all nature. We're all indigenous to the earth. We all have a birthright to live here in peace. And we're coming to you from the Pacific coast of Canada, in British Columbia, between Vancouver Island and the British Columbia Pacific coast. It's an inland sea called the Salish Sea. Where we live is the homeland of the unceded territory of the Tla'amin, Klahoose, and Hamalko people who've lived here since time immemorial and stewarded the land and the ocean. And we're out there in their canoes, canoeing to Hawaii, canoeing all over the Pacific Ocean with the whales, when there were 10 times the amount of whales and 10 times the amount of Indigenous people. So,
we're going to start with something very relaxing with the whales. After that world events meditation, we'll meditate with a sleeping whale. Now, often when we're with the whales, they don't do amazing acrobatic things for us. They just fall asleep. And at first I was quite miffed that, these whales, all they're doing when they're near us is go to sleep. But then I realized, well, that's really a gift, that they feel comfortable enough with us to be near us and then to go to sleep. So we want you to see if you can, first of all, find the sleeping whale in this video, and then just experience the sound of the breath and the feeling of this hot mammal breath in this cold North Pacific Ocean, and be with them and enjoy that. When they're sleeping, the humpback whales are near the surface or just under the surface. Come up for a little breath. It's called logging because they can kind of look like a log. So they can be very difficult to see when boats are speeding. So we encourage people to slow down in certain areas where they are frequently seen. So enjoy sleeping whale.
so cue finding the sleeping whale. So, were you dreaming with that whale? Aren't those the most beautiful nostrils?
These whales haven't been here in our area for a long time. They were actually hunted out at the beginning of the the 1900s, and didn't stay here again until the last 11 years or so. They would pass through, but then they started to stay and feed here all summer and fall. So for the last 10 years, we've been out with these whales. So they're quite new to this area, and still, you know, they're finding their areas, and every year is a little different. But they come back, and moms bring their babies, their calves, from the south, from Hawaii or Mexico, and they bring them here, and then those babies return as they grow older, and they keep coming back. So there's more and more whales that are coming here. And we're going to watch a mom and calf play. They circled our boat for about half an hour, and we're really, really exuberant. So this is a little bit more energetic action.
And watch the pectoral fins of the mom, which can be 16 feet long, and she has a very artistic, balletic way of moving her pectoral fins. Every whale has a different fin personality.
Cue video.
Cue video, mom and
Okie
calf.
dokie. Terry and Jude, could you turn off your video and mute yourself for sharing the video?
Yes.
Thanks. Oh.
Yeah. So the little baby was the little one, like probably about 16 feet long at that point, was the one that was breaching, which is coming out of the water, and the mom was doing the peduncle throws, which is like standing on her head and the tail comes out. And the last breach was the mom, and you can see the difference between the size of the baby and the mom.
And mom is called Spotlight.
Mom is Spotlight.
Some of the whale watchers here have been naming the whales, and we can recognize them. Sometimes we see them many times in a season, And from year to year, spotlight is one that we've seen consistently. You can tell who they are by the shape of their dorsal fin, and then the underside of their tail is very individual. The colors, black and white, patterns that are there. So you can get to know some of the whales, which we've got to be able to recognize them.
And what is really interesting is that even though humpback whales have been studied, the most studied great whale, we really don't know very much about their social organization or their culture or their language. And they're the migrants of the North Pacific Ocean. The whales who come here can come here from Hawaii, they can come from Mexico or Central America, but they even go across the ocean to Japan and the Philippines, and they can come from Russia or Alaska. So they are the migrants of the North Pacific Ocean. They're only here for a third of their lives, and we can only see 1% of them above the surface. So they're the holy whale, but they're mysterious.
And yes, trying to get to know them is a little tricky because, as Jude was saying, most of their life is underwater. You see them just a little bit of their body above water, and sometimes very acrobatic, but most of the time they are underwater, and they are here to feed. They're fattening up for their migration back to the tropics, and for breeding and for giving birth and for feeding their babies. So when they're here, they're very much engaged in feeding, which is underwater most of the time. There's only a few days out of the 10 years we've been out with the whales that we've actually seen them feeding with their mouths open, coming up out of the water. This next video will show you one of those times, and it was an extraordinary, unusual day, the only one we've experienced with so many herring and krill, tiny little shrimp, right at the surface. And you'll see and hear them leaping, and it was an amazing experience.
So cue the lounge.
Wow, that's a whale of a gulp. We've been watching these humpback whales all day, and now they're lunge feeding near our sailboat. They're lunging through tightly packed schools of herring and krill. Krill are a tiny shrimp-like crustacean, only 1 centimeter long. Humpbacks need a lot of such tiny morsels, since they can eat a ton or more of food per day. Sea lions joined the whales for a while earlier today, feeding and perhaps playing together. Each whale is a unique individual with his or her own personality. We're calling this one Sharpie for their sharp dorsal fin, and this one Smoothie for their smooth skin and a smooth rolling motion. We're beside Cortez Island in the northern Salish Sea, also known as the Strait of Georgia. We're near Desolation Sound. You can see iconic Mount Denman rising like a dorsal fin in the distance. After hours of feasting, Sharpie and Smoothie aren't even lunging anymore. They're simply lounging at the surface with their mouths open, sometimes languidly rolling over through their food. We're calling this lounge feeding. Krill are popping out of the water, trying to escape the juvenile herring splashing through the clouds of krill. As the sun sets, the action heats up. The whales continue gulping down both herring and krill in this unusual multi-item buffet. Gulls resort to skim feeding like skimmer birds, scooping up beakfuls of food. This summer and fall, there have been 50 humpback whales in the region, packing on the pounds for their annual tropical migration. If we want them to return year after year, we must protect their food. Ending the herring fishery and a moratorium on trawling for krill will ensure food for not only the humpbacks, but for salmon, lingcod, rockfish, seals and sea lions, loons, murrelets, and a host of other wildlife. The choice is ours. Do we hoover everything out of the sea for human consumption? Or do we welcome the whales to a perpetual feast?
Yeah, so this is also a really good example of how all the ocean beings interact together. And this is about whales, but this is about the ocean and all the beings that live in the ocean. And they're all in communication, whether they're feeding on each other or they're friends and they're feeding together, fertilizing the ocean like whale poo does.
Yeah, you'd think that if whales can eat up to 8 tons of krill a day and herring 5 tons, that they would eat everything in an area, this small area where we are. But actually, scientists have realized that they fertilize the ocean and it brings more plankton, which is food for the krill and the herring. So actually, when whales are feeding an area, there is more food biomass. There's more herring and more krill. So they're not in competition with us humans that want to get the herring or want it for salmon. They actually will benefit the whole ecology.
Mm-hmm. And it also shows how little we humans know about the whole ecology. The Department of Fisheries and Oceans here had, because they thought that various animals, aquatic mammals and birds were competing with fishermen for the fish, they killed everything. This was like, even in the 60s, they had huge blades on the front of boats that cut the basking sharks, the huge basking sharks that were as big as whale sharks. They destroyed them. The sea otters were hunted out of the ocean. They used to live here. They even killed mergansers, the little ducks, because they eat salmon fry. So this is the history of humanity against the other species. And unfortunately, we do to them what we do to each other. So we don't have to do that to each other or to them. So this next video, we're going to skip the sea lions, George, because we probably don't have time. So we're going to go straight into lunge feeding. This video was, I started to use a hydrophone back in 2018 to record what was happening in the ocean. And it was a game changer. It was a totally amazing experience.
It's an underwater microphone. A hydrophone is recording underwater.
Thanks, Terry. Yes. So, and listening to the vastness of the ocean, listening to you can hear the topography of the ocean and how the sound moves, and there's a lot going on there, and you can hear the other beings. So you're going to hear underwater sound of the whales feeding and their strategy. So this is going to be the lunge feeding doubles, George. The whales are bubble feeding about 200 meters left. There, see? There's bubbles there. So you can see how everybody gets in on the act. The whales are providing an opportunity for feeding for everyone. I'm sure that the herring and the krill aren't that happy, but it would be terrifying to be a herring and that huge mouth. Oh my God. Anyway, it's an opportunity for so many of the other beings in the ocean, and they all work together.
So the next video we are going to be experiencing the only time in 10 years that we have seen dolphins and humpback whales playing together.
And this brings up a really important thing about all the beings in the ocean. The whales, the mothers bring their babies to this area, and the babies and the moms can go different places in the south, and they may do that to meet other mates. But up here in the Salish Sea, which is an inland sea, it seems that they all know each other. And brothers and sisters hang out together, or they hang out with their friends, and we see the same whales in groups quite often. Or you'll have 13 whales in an area that might be, I don't know, like 5 square kilometers, or like a large area. But you know that they're always in contact. They're always in communication. They communicate with body language, with slapping the water, and they communicate with underwater sound. And sometimes they play with other animals. They definitely feed with other beings, and they also play with them. And this is a video about that. The whales and dolphins.
Cue.
Cue video. Are they dolphins? The dolphins are right in front of us, about 50 meters. I could hear them echolocating. Here they are.
Hello. Hi. Right under. Oh, hello. Look at this. Look. Oh, here they come.
Oh,
Got that one.
really high.
Yeah.
Oh, there's another one.
thought I heard one.
Whale.
Oh, right here.
The sea lion went nuts.
That was so cool. So did the whales hear the squeaking? They heard all the squeaking and came to investigate.
Yeah. And then the sea lion went nuts. Snowden. Okay. Oh, we had more videos to go.
So there, yes, joy, the joy of the dolphins and whales playing together.
And you can see it's so wonderful because the personalities of a species, we won't know who we are really until we get the reflection of other species. And we do get that reflection quite a bit. We can see what's happening in the world and we can see how they run away from us. But when they don't, and we feel really privileged to be able to get in the ocean, to be free divers and to be able to be in the ocean, because the aquatic species, unless there's a lot of spearfishing going on, they are very curious and they will come and interact with us and look in our face masks and even the little gobies. They're very curious. So you get an idea of kind of a species personality. And the dolphins are so frenetic, and the whales are so chill. It's amazing. And the sea lions too. And I mean, the size difference is fantastic. And the dolphins are jumping over the backs of the whales, and the sea lions do that too. They love to play. And when the whales migrate here to feed in the spring and summer, you know, they see their old friends again, because you know, the sea lions, they migrate as well. And the dolphins are here, so it's really fun.
Enjoy. The next video we're going to be showing is the joy of gray whales. We had a great opportunity in 2018 to go down to Baja, Mexico, and do some guiding in the gray whale lagoon there. There's lagoons on the Pacific side of Baja where the gray whales go and breed and have their calves. And they have become very friendly there. Now, this was an area where they were slaughtered in the 1800s and 1900s, almost to extinction. The Atlantic one, the gray whales are extinct. The Pacific are almost extinct. And for a long time, the Mexican fishermen would go out on their little pongas, their open fiberglass boats, and they would stay away from the gray whales because they were known as devilfish. Because when the whalers were hunting them, they would harpoon the babies so that the mums and the adult males would stay there, and they could kill them. And they would often attack the boats. The gray whales would defend their young. And so they were called devilfish because they're defending their young. Strange, isn't it? But anyway, the Mexican fishermen thought they were dangerous. Until one day in 1972, when Pachico Mayoral, one of the Mexican fishermen, had a whale that was hanging out near his boat. And apparently he splashed his hand in the water. The whale came right up to him. He was actually able to touch this female whale. And that was the beginning of reconciliation. And it was initiated by the whales. They kept coming towards the boats, and the fishermen would leave. And finally, this one stayed there and made contact. And he continued to do that, and other fishermen did. And then tourists started to come and do it. And whales became friendly with humans. Not all of them, only a certain percentage. But each year it grows. Moms bring their calves right up to the boats, and you'll see us actually touching, petting these whales that want that interaction. To me, that was a childhood dream come true, to be able to have a wild whale choose to come to me and want me to touch them. I hope you get some of the joy that I felt in this video.
And they're teases too. And so they all have their different personalities, which we found out when we were out there. Especially the adolescents will really tease, and some of them push the boats around. Some of them give you a jacuzzi shower. You'll see that happening. And they're, you know, and the moms bring the babies because, you know, they want you to babysit.
Yeah.
And bears do that too. They'll tree their young near your camp so that you can babysit while they go off and fish, right? And the mums do that too, because they're working those babies really hard so that the babies can make the big migration. And babies go to whale school. Mums make them swim against the current. You'll see this one mom who's teaching her baby about how sharp a motor propeller is. It's amazing to be able to observe this going on, and just the respect and the awe we had for their ability to reconcile after being genocided by humans. Note, though, that it wasn't the Mexican fishermen who genocided the whales, it was the European whalers, especially after they invented exploding torpedoes. But anyway, here it is, Joy of Gray Whales.
There she is.
Hello.
Come here. Oh, she's coming to see you. Oh my God. There you are.
eyes be right there.
Just at the back of the mouth, and the mouth curves down.
Yeah.
What a nose! What a
Snout.
beautiful nose you
Look at that
have!
snout. Come right in for a nice scratch. Come right in. Love that sound. Yeah, isn't that just a beautiful?
He's taking us for a ride here.
Yes, yes, yes.
Oh,
Oh, baby's on the snout, mom's snout.
they're coming. I'm pushing baby towards us now.
Yeah.
Mom's pushing
Mom
baby
is-
to the boat.
Oh, wow.
There. Coming up to the back, maybe to the...
Oh, oh, baby, be careful, baby.
Oh,
Whoa.
there, bumped the motor. She pushed the baby right into the motor.
Uh-oh, did it hurt itself?
Tough love. Here's the baby.
Here's baby.
Hello.
Right in front of us. Come on over. Yeah, you want to play. Yes, you do.
Oh, yes. Oh, look at that. Oh, Jude, come on over.
Oh, beautiful. What a tease.
Whoa. That was a tail fin. Oh, didn't want to.
There she goes. Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, so people go nuts. We go nuts over all babies, but whale babies are.
Yes, and to have whales choose to be with you and to allow you to touch them, like I say, it was a childhood dream come true, and that's the greatest gift. And some of the highlights of my life has been a wild animal chooses to be close to me and interact in a friendly way. So it definitely brings joy to us, and we need infusions of joy in our lives now. There's so many issues and so many things that are dark, but to just go outside today and connect with the plants, the clouds, the weather, the animals that are near you, even earthworms, whatever you have there, it's just connect with them and experience that joy of connecting with others.
And imagine what the world could be like if we were in connection and the joy that we could have. It is always so discouraging to see how disconnected people are from the rest of nature here, and how afraid most of the rest of nature is of us. But when you are in that space of peace and connection, they come around. The birds will come around, and they don't get so fussed with you, especially if you have a place in nature that you go to regularly and you just sit and be still and take in through your whole body and through your cellular nervous system and through your cells everything that's there, and then all of those beings who make that place that you go to their home will get used to you and will consider you part of the family, and they'll get really comfortable with you, and then you can interact. It's fun.
We're going to end our part of the presentation with a video, Dreaming the Salish Sea. This one's a very contemplative one, so just sit back and listen to the whale song underwater. The visuals will hopefully help you to get into a dreamlike state, dreaming of the way Salish Sea and other oceans can be, and any habitat near you. Just feel that energy of abundance and joy and connection through this video.
It's Dreaming the Salish Sea. We hope you could dream a bit with the whales. Are you still sharing the screen, George? There, great.
I guess it's time for
Jim to ask us questions.
and yeah.
It's wonderful reading the chat. We
Yes,
really
thanks.
appreciate your feedback. We love to do interactive presentations, and the people that are interacting are really the important thing.
So we're finished with all your videos.
Oh, we've got so many
yeah.
more. We could only do a few. Yeah.
Well, this has been wonderful, Terry and Jude. I thank you very, very much. Your screen for the two of you has been mostly frozen for the time,
Oh,
but
no.
videos
Oh, really?
have come across very, very clear. And so what I'm going to suggest is we adjourn for now and go directly into the after chat, and maybe you can reboot your computer or whatever, and maybe it'll be a better audio visual.
What's happening probably, we're on satellite internet.
Oh,
And,
maybe that's
sometimes it's, it really lags. That's why we wanted the videos to be playing from
yeah
your
yeah
server
and that was a very good idea.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, we didn't realize we were frozen.
Maybe if we go from Zoom webinar to meeting, maybe that'll change things, because you'll have to go off this and then you can try it again. You got the link in the email that you got from Katie Amrin.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. So there's one more thing we could do, which is, I mean, George does have another video there we could play before we go to after chat. It's up to
Georg, do you have that video?
It's the Tinker
maybe
one.
the maybe.
Yes, the maybe. Yeah.
Okay,
So
let's
go
play
ahead
that
and
and
play
then we'll
that.
adjourn.
Yeah.
Okay,
And then
cool.
we'll adjourn.
Okay.
And we'll figure it out. I'll figure.
It's our Doll's porpoise. Doll's porpoise.
I'm at the dock at about 11:15 on October 12th, and the sky is clear, beautiful stars, and there's shrimps snapping, and I'm listening for whales. That might have been a midshipman.
Okay, we'll see you in the after chat. We'll try it on a different computer and see if it works better, okay?
Good. Thank you, Jude. Thank you, Terry. You're all welcome to join these two whale watchers, whale lovers in the after chat. You'll see the link in the chat box, and you receive the link in your Zoom reminder for today. Hopefully the audio visual is going to work a little bit better in the after chat. Okay, everyone.
Well, it's the whales that are important, not us.
For sure. For sure. For sure.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Jim.